Hello everyone, welcome to my guide for the Legacy of Phrecia Keepers event for the Herald of Agony Herald. Quick disclaimer right off the bat, this is being recorded before we get the final patch notes. If there are any big changes or anything affecting this guide, I will update the PoB to be working, of course, and I will post a comment in the comment section down below explaining what changed. Yes, also want to mention this time around I'm going for Lancing Steel as trigger instead of bow compared to last time. Why? Because I think Lancing Steel has a bit better application. Lancing Steel is a bit more chill to play, and Lancing Steel can use Svalinn, which allows us to go higher block cap 90-90, which is very strong. And suppression was nerfed, which was one of the bigger upsides for the bow version, getting the corrupted rearguard with the suppression, which makes this version more attractive. And I think this version is also a bit easier to get into since you don't need any rare corruption like the rearguard corruption, which was a big issue for people last time. As for always, timestamps in this video will be in the description, so if you need anything from a specific setup, feel free to go there immediately. Other than that, let's get, I think, first into a showcase. Okay, for map showcase, I sadly can't show you the Herald itself. If you want to see some gameplay with the bow version, you can look at some of my older videos. I will link them in the description. Or I have this character in Keepers League. That is basically roughly half the DPS of the endgame setup. So I'm just going to show you how the gameplay looks like, so you can get a feel for the build and how the gear is.
This time you will finally lose. Can't do this just yet.
As you can see, clear is pretty fine. This is with 90 virulence. The clear on the 130 is a lot better since the crawler attacks a lot faster. But yeah, looks pretty decent. Let's go over the setups now. Okay, first off, for the people who haven't played Herald of Agony yet, or are new to it, or need a refresher on how we are going to scale the Herald of Agony. Herald of Agony is a permanent minion herald, which spawns one singular minion when we poison an enemy, and each poison we inflict on an enemy gives us a buff called virulence, and this virulence stacks up to a maximum of 40 initially, and grants the Agony Crawler increased attack speed, increased physical damage, and increased flat physical damage per virulence. all of these three stats are additive together with any stuff you give it from either the tree or auras or anything, which means the only things to really scale this Herald of Agony damage is gem levels, because gem levels scale the effectiveness of the virulence and the amount of virulence itself, mostly done via cluster jewels, via quality. And yeah, Pure Agony is the cluster jewel notable that we're going to be stacking, which gives us +5 maximum virulence, which you're going to be seeing in the PoB setups later on as well. Diving into the PoB, I've once again created loadouts for all of the stuff you need to change. So you don't need to change any of the items, skills, or trees manually. You can swap between leveling from normal lab, cruel lab, lab start, cluster swap, voices swap, to a Svalinn buy, and to a Mageblood swap. From start to finish, everything should be correctly allocated. Only thing that I will mention is for the map start, there is a second tree for level 85. If for some reason you have 0 clusters until level 85, this is the tree I would go with. Other than that, let's go over the setups themselves. Let's start out with leveling. Yeah, leveling. Since we're a witch herald, we're gonna start on the top side. Gonna be doing minion leveling most likely. I'm not a big leveling guy. There are a few different things I've added here into the PoB. You can either level with Summon Raging Spirits, SRS, which is what I did last time until normal lab. You can also level with Rolling Magma, a normal caster leveling tree. However, the tree would be a bit different, maybe not as efficient, but a swap later on. Or you can level with Absolution. People recommended this as well last time and said this was very smooth. I don't have a setup here, but I'm sure someone else has one. Yes, for the tree itself, we grab minion nodes and then path over left side. All of the minion nodes, attack speed minion nodes. Pretty much basic SRS start. Yes, for after you get the normal lab, which is basically the time you can swap to playing Herald of Agony, since it allows us with the 200% mana reservation efficiency to run a falling setup of Herald of Agony and Herald of Purity, which will carry our damage. There are two different setups here. One setup is if you already have the Lancing Steel of Spraying, you can play with a sword and a shield. Otherwise, I would recommend to play with a bow, then ideally a quill ring, which is very good at the start for keeping up with mana cost and having enough attack speed. If you don't want to play with Herald of Agony already, or if you think it's too slow during leveling, then you can keep on leveling with SRS or Absolution as well. For the tree, for Cruel Lab, so basically after normal lab at like level, I was at around 40 or so, switching to HoAg isn't a bad idea. Basically continue, grab life nodes, grab redemption, and only grab life nodes. Mana cost reduction for attacks is very nice early on. Same with the life mastery, skills of mana. And of course, other than that, it's basically life all the way. And the endurance charge generation down here as well. We're not going for any block here yet. Okay, then let's get into the actual first real setup, which is the map start. This is for level 69, so roughly level 70. If you don't have any cluster jewels yet, I would recommend to play this setup. For gear, we need a sword, of course, for using the Lancing Steel. What our sword needs is basically only attack speed. Everything else does not matter. You want as high APS as possible. If you can get it, there is an unveil, this chance to poison and hit and physical damage. Somehow, if there is on trade maybe a weapon with this unveil already on it, would also be a very good choice since we are not 100% poison capped on this setup. But yeah, just getting attack speed and crafting minion damage is fine for the start. For the shield, this is the only, I would say, a little bit better item for the map start I would recommend, or recommend to upgrade first when you go into maps. Getting a shield with block chance and spell block chance helps you for the attack block already, which is very strong on map start. For the helmet, we just want a +1 minion helmet, +2 of course if you can get it, however it's at level 75 plus, so won't be available if you're pretty fast. Yes, for the body armor, since we are in Keepers League and we have the tree, we most likely will have a 5-link from the tree at league start when you enter maps. I would highly recommend to do the league mechanic in Act 10, Act 9 to fish for a 5-link for the body armor. What you want to target is a dex strength base. That doesn't matter. I've just entered some maybe armor and evasion if you can get it. If you can't get it, fine as well. Getting a 5-link or even a 6-link, the earliest as possible, is highest priority. Yes, gloves don't have anything basically, just life resist and some stats crafted. Boots, move speed, life resist. Yeah, amulet, nothing else here as well already, nothing special. Rings, also nothing special. Only thing is the dexterity. There are a few affixes open here. You will need quite some dexterity since Herald of Agony has a big dex requirement. 142 you will have roughly, I think, on this level. Depending on the body armor you will get, you may also need more dexterity. So just keep that in mind and maybe look out for some rings or amulet bases with dex on it. Yeah. Belt, heavy belt for the strength, other than that, just life resist. For the tree, we did a little respec. We dropped the starting area. Basically, don't need that anymore. We still spec some minion damage here right now, since we don't have any clusters. We pick up some jewels, which are important, and I will explain in a second. And other than that, just fill out some max res armor nodes and fill out the block nodes that we didn't spec before. For the jewels, getting the golden rule is pretty good early on, because first of all, the poison won't kill you if you have low damage weapon. If you have a high damage weapon, you might you will need to take a look on if this does too much damage to you, and you need to drop it. But when you're not poison capped yet, getting the golden rule is a very good way to sustain more virulence, so would highly recommend. Yes, and for the other two jewels, running mana on hit with attacks. Yeah, the life basically doesn't matter, just get the mana on hit jewel with attacks. This is needed because we don't have the minus mana crafts yet for the rings. So our Lancing Steel are still costing 14, which means you would need to hit 7 times, which is easily possible since it hits, I think, 18 times or something. So you won't have any trouble with mana with double jewels. Just make sure you get those at the start of maps, or basically whenever you switch to Lancing Steel, you will have to use those, or you will need to run mana flask still. Yeah, I think this was everything for the map start setup. Let's take a look at the cluster swap. Cluster swap, I've given roughly level 92. Of course, if you're lower level, first thing I would recommend to drop is just the third cluster. So if you're lower level, so like 77, you can spec all of the rest and just fill out the last cluster then afterwards. We repathted a bit. We dropped on the left side some stuff down here and went up here for the cluster. For the cluster jewels, we want 8 passive larges. The base pretty much doesn't matter. You can take a look at the node efficiency here. Minion damage is basically worth nothing. 0.7 per node, so you're losing 2% DPS per cluster if you don't have the minion cluster. So if these are too expensive, just get any other 8 passive larges. What you do need is either 4 passives or most likely 4 passives, minions deal 10% increased damage while you are affected by a Herald. Because you only want 1 notable, and alt spamming for 2 notables is probably a bit harder, which you could do with a 5 passive. But if you are just alt spamming, I would highly recommend to buy 4 passive ones. You need item level, I think 68, to get pure agony. This is not a lot of alts, so this should be very easy to alt spam, not expensive. The base might cost a little bit depending on how many people are playing the build, so just keep that in mind. Yes, other important tool here, the Calamicious Visions. Since we already have the Aura Disabler from the Ascendancy, this is basically just purely upside, since we're not running a second Herald anyways. So with this, just gives you 25% more damage, and also gives you a lot more poison chance, since it gives 50% more effect. So getting this also very, very important. Yeah, same cluster setups in all 4. For the jewels, we're still running the double life with mana on hit, and other than that, just running life with attack speed. Attack speed gives more poison applications. Attack speed is more sustain with life gain on hit, and just also better gameplay feel. So 3.3 APS is easily fine. Yeah, for the gem setup, we have our 6-link Herald of Agony, of course, now here with the cluster swap. One thing to keep in mind is you will always need Pierce. So on the earlier setups, this is just manually given. On the later setups, this will be in the Lioness chest. But yeah, just keep that in mind. Rest of the stuff, just the best support gems. Yeah, Lancing Steel has Life Gain on Hit and Withering Touch and Return. If you feel like you're not applying enough poisons, I would drop probably Withering Touch first and run Chance to Poison if you're not 100% poison capped yet. If you don't have the craft for the weapon, this is one change you could do. Arnett for Curse, Sniper's Mark, Mark on Hit, then Automation Convocation, always need that. Yeah, Shield Charge, Frostbring setup, and then for auras just Tempest Shield and Arctic Armor, since we can't run anything else yet. We don't have the mana reservation for the aspect yet. For the gear on the cluster swap, yeah, we're upgrading the weapon to Whalebone Rapier, which is the lowest damage, highest APS, I think 1.6 APS weapon. So this with and 1 attack speed essence on it, and then just craft the poison on hit fizz mode is completely fine. For the shield, upgrade the shield a little bit with more spellblock chance to cap the spellblock as well. So this shield is basically 2 more shield, crafted life. For the helmet, we're keeping the +1 minion helmet if you can get it. The +2, of course, would be an upgrade. For the chest, we're looking for a 6-link from the tree. Still a habit base. Armor evasion makes this easier for us to color than pure armor bases, since we're using a lot of green gems. So pure armor would be a lot of off colors, so dex strength is the best we can get, the best we have. Yeah, for gloves we're looking for dex, since gloves can roll natural dex, no matter the base, and just life and crafted attack speed. Boots, most likely gonna be 3 boots, I would assume. So you have life, move speed, and a lot of resists on them. For the amulet, you're looking for a +1 with crafted life. So +1 can be either chaos, physical, or all gems. Any of the +1s work. Here you can already look out for the replica Dragonfang, which I have in the later setups for the Herald of Agony. Depending on price, this might be expensive, but is the best in slot amulet. For the rings, yeah, dexterity on 1 ring, probably needed. Other than that, just life resist, pretty straightforward, and belt as well. Pretty straightforward life resist. Flasks, I would recommend to run probably 1 or 2 life flasks. I wouldn't drop life flask, even though we have a lot of life gain on hit from the Lancing Steel. So 1 life flask with bleed immune for CB, then Quicksilver, Silver, and the Granite. Yeah, nothing, pretty straightforward. For the crafts, always running the same crafts, just upgrading the mods on them on each version. So we're always running the Molten Shell craft, the Molten Soft craft, which gives us the Heart of Flame, which is the Molten Shell. Yeah, for the modifier on it, we're basically looking for increased armor. Nothing else is useful on this one. The Hardening Ult craft is the one that gives endurance charges on low life, which is just a bit more recovery / endurance sustain for bossing, maybe a bit more sustained. And you can also roll maximum life on it. So this is very nice to have. Yeah, went over the clusters, so should be everything for the cluster swap. So this is what I would assume you would have at roughly level 92, 93. This is for a fast player, this would be end of day 1, I would assume. So roughly end of day 1. Then towards day 2, day 3, we're looking towards voices. I have here 5 passive voices in the PoB. However, even 7 passive voices is fine. So we are swapping all of the 8 passive largest with 5 passive voices. Yes, if you're not level 100 or whatever I have here in the PoB, feel free to drop either some life notes, since we have a lot of life and don't really need that much if you feel like you're tanky enough, or just drop the either one full voices setup, probably not recommended, or single mediums. Yeah, for the voices swap, first time we're using a different unique tool, one of the Fallborns, the Fallborn Red Dream, which gives life for Eliras. It's actually missing a tattoo. Yes, so this is a very good spot for this here, because we're pathing through here through the auras, getting a lot more fire rest tattoos, and then pathing towards the auras from this side. So we're scaling a lot of max health from this. This gives 1k health alone. So very strong here. This should be pretty cheap. This is very common. Yeah, other than that, no big changes in the tree. Dropped some maxes here, picked up this one. But yeah, no big changes. Yeah, for the gear, stuff that's changed, we've upgraded the sword to a multimod sword with, I can't remember the essence, one of the special essences that gives the spectral spirits when equipped. These provide some utility for us. In the links, we have here Feeding Frenzy and Culling. This will be permanently up, or at least doing bosses or doing tanky enemies. These guys will attack and give you Feeding Frenzy. Very strong buff and nicely automated, nothing to do. And then we're looking for basically an attack speed fracture would be easiest. Attack speed fracture, slam 1 essence, annul of everything else, and then just multi-mod, hits can't be evaded, and the poison mod. As soon as you have the hits can't be evaded, you can also drop Resolute Technique, since you can always hit anyways. Yeah, for the helmet, upgraded to the +2 here. Some implicits with fist conversion, plus the mana cost reduction. Fist conversion to fire is best, since we're running Arctic armor. Just keep that in mind. For the chest, on the day 2, day 3, we're looking for the 6-link Lioness. Lioness is a pretty good armor chest. It's basically full armor, but also a dex requirement, which helps with coloring. So this is very, very nice, and it has the level 15 pierce, which allows us to drop it from the main links and basically run a 7-link Herald of Agony, since we have enough mana reservation anyways from the Ascendancy. Yeah, gloves stayed roughly the same, still dex and attack speed with life. Boots still 3 boots. The amulet, swap to the replica Dragonfang with Herald of Agony. As soon as you have this, I think, do I have the aspects already here? No, okay. Technically, you could already think about running an aspect, but yeah, basically not required yet. Just the replica Dragonfangs is very, very good for damage. Yeah, rings, decks, and here we are switching to the mana cost crafts as well. So this gives us, frees up some passive points. So we don't need this wheel anymore. We're still on 12 mana cost roughly, 70 pool, and we're getting 4 on hit. So should be plenty of, should be fine, even 2 on hit here. This should be plenty. Yeah, for flasks important here now, to get the gain when hit. Still running silver, quicksilver, granite, and the phasing flask. You can switch phasing for something else, maybe basalt if you like, if you're fine with no phasing, but during mapping it feels a little bit better to have it. But yeah, getting increased armor, move speed, regen, and curse reduction. Still running the life flask mainly for the bleed immunity, since basically all of our sustain is from the life gain on hit gem on the lancing steel anyways. Yeah, just upgrade the crafts a little bit. On the Molten Soft craft, very good to get the cooldown recovery rate and the skill effect duration as high as possible. These, if you get like double T1 with the Runecraft of the Warp here, this can have permanent uptime, which is very, very nice. Yes, then I think we went over all of the jewels. For the normal jewels inside the voices, since we have so many normal jewels now and don't really need the attack speed from the rare jewels, we're switching to Ghastly Eyes with Poison Chance. So the build still stays hit based basically completely. However, you can see the breakdown. We have 24 million hit DPS and 11 million poison. So this is basically just some damage on the sides. If we take a look at the Herald of Agony, we have 1% poison chance here. So with all of those 3 jewels, we get the poison chance to 100. Also nice to have stun avoid on the Ghastly Eyes. Definitely not needed. You can just run life plus poison chance. But if you manage to fit 4 stun avoid ones, you can then swap the Pantheon from Brine King to Lunaris, which gives you some tankiness. And also for gameplay feel, being stun immune is pretty nice. Okay, then already the basically penultimate setup. This is the setup I would say can be used to farm anything you want. So we have the Svalinn. We are basically 90-91 block with the Svalinn. The gear is here basically is pretty much optimized. This is now actual crafted gear. So big changes. So weapons stayed the same. Shield of course went to the Svalinn. Helmet. We now crafted a helmet. This is probably gonna be a fractured plus 2 minion. And then crafted with mana reservation essences to give us the reservation to fit the aspect of the crab, which is very nice defensively with so much block. I played that last time as well. Was very, very nice for PDR. And the 22k PDR, this is no guard skill. So basically nearly PDR at the E max hits. So very nice. Yeah, gloves. Implicit on gloves, didn't mention it before, but Intimidate and Wither Expiration. Intimidate, of course, gives us the 10% increased damage taken. Wither Expiration is just for quality of life. A bit more uptime. Yeah, the I don't know what this is, Insanity Craft or the Essence Craft with Socketed Gems have more attack speed. Very good. Since we're not really running too much attack speed in the jewels yet, compared to previous setups or compared to the Mageblood setup. There's just yeah, not enough attack speed. Can never get enough basically. So very good way to get this here. Boots stayed still the same, still 3 boots. Res. Yeah, amulet. The only thing with the amulet that changed is the anoint. Previously we had our endurance charge generation from deflection, and now we can drop that, and we're running Whispers of Doom. So with Whispers of Doom, should be ticked here. With Whispers of Doom, we can run 2 cursors, which allows us to get a curse on hit despair ring. Why run even the curse on hit here? Because there's no really good way to automate the despair. So if you would not run it on hit, you could self-cast it, but it would not be up a lot of the time. And this just feels good, and it's pretty easy to get. This one is not from a hunter influence. This one is, you're gonna want a fractured delve modifier. So these on any base basically is not very expensive. This is why I have a gold ring in here. So no matter the implicit, just get a fractured despair and hit. Chaos essence with dexterity for life, and then craft mana, and done. Belt, swap to a darkness enthroned if you have actually some good jewels. Poison chance life and maybe 1 resist or something. Just helps capping the resist and capping the poison chance. Since on this setup we are now dropping some of the rare jewels and adding some unique ones in. We added in the Forbidden Flame Flesh for Unnatural Strength. Unnatural Strength gives the Herald Unholy Might permanently. Unholy Might converts all of this physical damage to chaos, which gives us the increased effectiveness of our Wither stacks. For the previous setups, we always had this wheel here with the minion mastery for Unholy Might on kill, which is now no longer needed and gives us way better boss DPS. So this is a big upgrade for boss DPS, the Forbidden Flesh combo. Yeah, since we're running the 1% poison chance, and now we actually have some money to spend, we can also run the Amanamus Gaze. Gives us roughly 8% DPS or so. And I would also recommend to pick up, there was my thing, 1 Megalomaniac if you can, with Enduring Composure plus Pure Agony. These might get really expensive. So if you can't afford one of those, just use a normal, medium, and then spec this one here. So for endurance charges, just make sure you either have Enduring Composure, this one, or you can also run the small cluster with the armor node. Just loses your 2 points. So yeah, just make sure you have some way of generating endurance charges. Yeah, for the other tools, I think not too much has changed. Sometimes we're running one of the open tools we're having with life double attack speed. This is, like I mentioned before, for more quality of life. Yeah, other than that, I think should have everything from the setups. The gems for all of the thingies upgrade over time, so make sure to check them. We're running Awakening gems here now, of course. Minion damage gives us +1. Void Manip also gives us +1. Void Manip, I'd only start running after you get the Forbidden Flesh combo, since you don't deal only chaos damage otherwise. So this is not as strong if you don't have the Awakened or if you don't have the Forbidden Flesh combo. Yes, and final setup, the Mageblood setup. Yeah, we're basically using Svalinn still. We're using the same chest. Just more corruption, so this is now a +3 chest. Previously we had a +2 chest. Yeah, the weapon is a bit different. Weapon, we're now running the fractured attack speed still on we're running essence spammed attack speed with the Spectral Spirits mod on a Synth sword, and then unveil the fist damage poison on hit, and then multi-mode hits can't be evaded and minion damage. Gives us very little DPS increase, gives us like 2% or so DPS compared to the previous one. Yeah, if you don't want to invest like 20 divines on a random craft, so just don't craft this one as upgrade. Svalinn still the same. I've put here a non-corrupted one since, yeah, you can take a look at the corruptions yourself, I think. The helmet is also roughly the same. We're still running the RMR +2 minion helmet with the aspect. Trying to free up a suffix here for the rarity craft if possible, just for some more gold or something. Pretty good to get. Yeah, for gloves, still pretty much the same. Decks with the socketed gems attack speed. Boots here changed a little bit. We swapped away from the 3 boots to Abyss socket boots. So this is probably self-fracturing the Abyss socket, and then using strength essences to spam for a second resist, crafting the life with Eldritch, and then either crafting the move speed or unveiling the move speed. Yeah, you still need the avoid chill. We're not ailment immune on this build. We're freeze immune and we're shock immune from Arctic Armor Tempest Shield, but we're not fully ailment immune. Yeah, just Abyssal Jewel in the boots. Still Poison Chance Life. Good third mode is the Wither minus resist, just a little bit more damage. Amulets did the same. Ring, yeah, one change here, two changes here. For the Despair and Hit Fracture, actually trying to get it on a good base now. Amethyst Ring for Chaos Res exactly fits, so we're still Chaos capped without the chances up. If you can get that, very good. If you can't, just get any resist ring and then run a Chaos Resist roll somewhere else instead of an Illyris roll. Shouldn't be a big issue, yeah. For the second ring, recommend to get a Synth ring with +1 endurance charges, and maybe even, if someone makes it, a ring with life gain on hit, double Synth. But yeah, +1 endurance, most important, and just basic resistance plus strength craft. Nothing too fancy. Yeah, then Mageblood, of course. Mageblood setup is a Bismuth Flask, Quicksilver, Ruby, and Silver. So no more Granite and no more phasing. This is because we're now running a melding setup. Yeah, melding here with the Ruby Flask, and then basically only with the Flask scaling pushes us to the 90 Ores. And the Flask scaling pushes us to the 90 Ores. We have also here an Adorn setup with at least 88 is recommended, or 87, to scale the 7% life at the second highest breakpoint. But then we run 3 life max fire res jewels here, which gives us 9 maximum fire res, which caps the rest of the flask. Plus these 3 jewels caps us to the 90 all res, which makes us very tanky. We still have a similar Svalinn setup, so we have the 1990 block. Yeah. Since we have the Adorned, we can drop a few of we drop basically all of the rare jewels, of course. We're running life and poison chance on 3 of them, 3 of them, and the other 10% is on the Boots Abyssal Jewel. So we're still on the 100% poison chance, and 99 here. Yeah, and then we're running 1 mana on hit jewel still. This also scaled by the Adorned, gives us +3, so pretty good. Yeah, for the for the crafts, yeah, still armor and double cooldown skill effect duration roll. I would actually prioritize the cooldown and skill effect duration rolls over the armor here. So yeah, keep that in mind. The second craft, try to cap the 15 max life, and maybe if you can get it, the second buff with the +1 endurance charge, bit more consistency. The voices were also upgraded to 3 passive voices here, and we're running a 4th one, since 3 passive voices over 5 passives gives us 2 skill points per voices upgrade. Allows us to drop some of the more not necessary stuff, like even some life notes or whatever, to fit in the 4th voices, which gives us more Adorn Jewels anyways to get the life back. Yeah, and here we need to fix some of the block chants with block 2s. And for the Inter 2s, I'm running crit reduction. Yeah, one change I didn't mention on the Svalinn. On the Svalinn setup already is the Red Nightmare. Previously we ran here the Red Dream, the Fallborn one. However, for the Svalinn setup to actually cap attack block, we need a lot more block chance. So we're running a Red Nightmare, which gives us block from all of this fire resistance, which gives us our block cap back. And for the Mage Bard, it's the same. Red Nightmare is still the same. Since we have a lot less fire resistance here, we need to tattoo quite a bit of block chance. So we have quite a few block chance tattoos, just to make sure we are on the, I think, 38, 68, 68, I was assuming. Yeah, block chance here. Yes, I think that was everything from the PoB. Okay, that was it for the guide/build overview of the Herald of Agony Herald for the Legacy of Phrecia Keepers event. So if you have any questions for any of the setups, or if you want to discuss something, feel free to leave a comment down below. I'll try to answer it as soon as possible. Other than that, I hope you all have a very, very nice event league start, and see you around, guys.